Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. Welcome to we're broadcasting to you from Free America. And if you're not in Free America, hold tight, be strong. And you've got a choice. You can either emigrate to Free America, or you can fight, or you can sit on your hands and complain on Facebook about how unfair everything is. Unfortunately, a lot of people that don't live in free America, that live in slave states, their only outlet is sitting on social media and complaining about how crappy things are. But what we're going to do in the next couple of hours is we're going to encourage you. We're going to try and give you a little bit of education, a little bit of enlightenment, and a little bit of encouragement. And before we even get started, I'm doing research, and Jared, we teased him with the book last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Well, as if you're a dedicated follower of Student of the Gun Radio, and by the way, that was Jared, my production engineer, who just said hello and just chimed in there. If you are a dedicated Student of the Gun Radio listener, what you'll know is that I'm working on a new book called The Patriot Fire Team, and the working title is Saving America, or Saving the Republic, 4 Men at a Time. And in the preparation and the research for the book, I've been reading a lot about the Founding Fathers. I have for years, but I've been going through and really diving into a lot of material and coming up with quotes from the Founding Fathers. You know, what were their thoughts and what were they thinking about in 1765 and 1770, all the way up to the first shot that was fired on Lexington Green. And I've got a quote for you here, and this comes from Samuel Adams. He's not just the guy who's on the beer label. Samuel Adams was actually one of the founding members. Some people say that he was the original founder. Others will debate that. It doesn't really matter. But he was one of the founding members of the Sons of Liberty. You know the Sons of Liberty, the guys that went out and protested in the streets, and they might have dumped a little bit of tea into the Boston Harbor. I'm going to share this quote with you, so perk up your ears. And this comes, again, from Samuel Adams. It says, "If ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude than the animated contest of freedom, go from us in peace. We ask not your counsel or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chain sit lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you are our countrymen." And I thought that was very, very appropriate in this time and age that we would consider those words. And Jared, can you put that exact quote up on the show notes for the people?
Yeah, I'll do that for the people. Yeah,
for the people, for you guys. That's how much Jared likes you. He likes you so much that he's willing to go that extra mile and do that extra effort. And speaking of show notes, I want to remind you guys that every single week when we do Student of the Gun Radio, whether you listen to it on iTunes or Stitcher or directly from our mobile app, which you should be doing anyway, or wherever it is that you get Student of the Gun Radio. I know that there's dozens upon dozens of different ways to listen to us. But if you're curious about, well, where do these guys get this information, or where are they coming from, or I don't believe that, or I think they just made that up, or what have you, go to studentofthegunradio.com. And each week, the sources and show notes will be referenced in there. There's hyperlinks, so when you're talking about it at the water cooler on Monday, you can say, hey, here it is right here.
And what we're going to do for you this week is we're going to have the third hour available for purchase. And if you want to know how to do that, I'll send out an email to all the subscribers. But if you're not a subscriber, first, shame on you. And second, it'll be all over our social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. It'll be how to buy it'll be on there. And if you don't feel like getting on there, send me an email, jared@studentofthegun.com, and I'll give you a link personally.
That's right. He will personally link you up, because that's how much we care about you guys. Now it's now that we've perked up your interest, we've given you a little gem from Sam Adams there. Let's talk about our sponsors and people that actually care about you and about Student of the Gun Radio, and they make it so that we can afford these cool these black carbon steel microphones and cool pop filters. We're talking, of course, about Brownells, and you want to check them out at brownells.com. Colt, the makers of the LE901 rifle. And remember, we told you guys we did a lot of filming with the LE901 in both the 308 and 556 configurations, and that's going to be on the TV show coming up real soon. SWAT Fuel, one of our number one, or one of our newest, I'm sorry, not number one of our newest sponsors, SWAT Fuel. Check them out at swatfuel.com. They've got supplements for all you active students of the gun, or all you occupational athletes. So 9mm plus P, 40 cal multivitamins, and so forth.
And don't forget about the Brownells promo code that's good till July 31st. You can get free shipping on orders of $75 or more, and get yourself some $75 worth of ammo, and you get free shipping on that.
That's right. Or magazines, or what have you.
Did I tell them what the code was?
No, you didn't. Give them the
maybe
actual code.
Maybe I should make them wait a little longer. I don't know.
No, give them the code.
Oh, okay. I'll give them the code. You talked me into it. The code is PFV. That's Papa Foxtrot Victor, and it's good till July 31st.
That's right. So free shipping on all orders, $75 or more when you use the Student of the Gun official code, because you are a student of the gun and you deserve something special for that. Now, the last sponsor that we haven't talked about yet is Excess Sights, and the reason we did that is because why? Well, Excess Sights Good Guy of the Week, and we have a Good Guy of the Week, and Jared's going to tell us what our Good Guy's question is, and then I'm going to talk about it.
Our Good Guy of the Week is, I'm assuming it was Chad Rosenboom that asked the question, but they asked on Facebook, and the Facebook name is Chad and Jenny Rosenboom, and the question is, where is a place for couples to train to make sure we are on the same page, working with our strengths, limiting weaknesses, or a way to train together?
Okay. The reason that I went ahead and chose this one this week as opposed to Jared, because during previous weeks we talked about how to get your girlfriend and or wife involved in shooting, or actually to get her on board.
You want to know? I'm going to tell on myself. The question was so short this week that was the first time that I read the question.
Okay.
I skipped over it in the show notes somehow.
Well, was it like 2 weeks ago, Jared, or it's during the last month? We addressed the situation. Somebody wrote in there like, well, how do I get my wife on board with, me carrying, or how do I convince her that she should carry? And, our advice was enroll your wife or your girlfriend or your beloved, what have you, in a professional training course and take her there. The worst thing you can do as a husband or a boyfriend is to take them to the range and try and establish yourself as the subject matter expert. Because let's face it, if she's seen you naked, you're no longer a subject matter expert on anything. Are you down with me, Jared? Is that pretty much the standard?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not a subject matter expert. You're just you're an idiot that keeps leaving the toilet seat up and not taking out the trash. And what she'll do is she'll grunt through it. She'll like do, all right, I'll shoot this gun. But she's not going to enjoy it. And you want your beloved, you want them to enjoy the experience. You want them to go to a shooting school. You want them to learn something. You want to be comfortable. You don't want to be thinking the whole time that they're trying to, please your ego or make you happy. It's not about you. It's about them.
While we're on this subject, when you go to purchase a gun for your wife or girlfriend, you need to get one that she likes, not one that you like, because I've seen a couple people over the past year that come to me and, oh, my husband or boyfriend got me this gun, but I don't like it, so what do? I'm like, oh, tell them.
Oh yeah. Or how about the and if you don't want advice, don't ask for it. There's that, of course, but let's not get off track on that. Now, the reason we're talking about this particular one is where can we go to train together? Is I think a lot of guys miss the point where they're saying that I'm trying to tell you that you shouldn't go to training with your wife or your girlfriend. I'm not saying that. And the caveat to this is, yes, go train as a couple. Yes, go take training and enjoy it. Asterisk. But, the big but, and we like big butts, and we're going to tell you why. The big but in that is, if you're going to go to training with your wife, with your beloved, with your spouse, what have you, you need to park your ego at the door. You're not there to train her. You need to have enough intestinal fortitude and intellectual honesty to shut your mouth and let the instructors and the trainers do their thing. And that's the big problem with couples that go to classes, or fathers and sons, or fathers and daughters, or what have you, is the alpha male guy always wants to interject or add on to, or the instructor tells them something and then they lean over and they give them an additional instruction. That's crap. That's bull. And because of that, for like what's the basic rule of tactical response? If you share a last name, you go on the opposite side of the ranges. Yeah, people show up with the same last name. They put one on the far right side and one on the far left side, and they separate them because they don't need the distraction of you, the husband, the alpha male, correcting your wife every time she fires a shot. That's not your job. That's not why you went to the school. But there are a lot of schools that have what they call partner tactics or team tactics. I know Gunsight has a very specific class where you go there and you actually work together as teams, as two-person teams. And it's not so much towards law enforcement or military. It's towards husbands and wives and boyfriends and girlfriends and so forth. Now, you say, well, what if I want to go to this school, but they don't have a husband and wife, specially designed team or specially designed training? Well, that's cool too. What you really want is you want you guys both to be on the same sheet of music. You want to both have the same tactics. You want to both have the same mindset. If you go and spend, 48 hours or, take a 2-day class or a 3-day class, and you both do the same training, you do the same drills, you do the same everything, you hear the same instructions, that's going to put you on the same sheet of music. And especially if you do it multiple times. You go to one class here, another there, and what happens? Well, you find that pretty soon your spouse, your wife, your beloved is on the same sheet of music as you. She's tracking 5 by 5, and that's what you want. You don't have time during a crisis situation to sit down and explain why you need something to be a certain way. It's like the whole duck. Why? No. When I say duck. You don't ask me why. I know some people have spouses like that when you tell their spouse to duck and instead of they say why.
I think everybody has a spouse like that.
Because you're about to get your bell rung. But so Chad and Jenny Rosenboom, we hope that helps you out, and we hope that you appreciate that. And like I said, if you want to take a special couples class, that's cool. A lot of schools have those. Usually you'll find them, they're offered like once a year, maybe twice a year max, because they're not super popular. But if you want to get into some training, just sign yourselves both up. And the male component in the couple needs to have like I said, the intellectual honesty to check their ego at the door. And when the training's going on, close your mouth, open your ears, and learn. You're not there to teach, you're there to learn.
One of you guys send me your address, your shirt size, and your phone number, and you guys can fight over who gets what out of the package.
Yeah, who gets what out of the good guy package. There you go.
My email address is Jared, JARRAD, @studentofthegun.com, and I'll be looking forward to that.
Well, if they go for the large shirt, then maybe the spouse can wear it as a night shirt too. Because I know my spouse likes to wear my T-shirts at night. Yeah, I'm sure you guys probably do too.
Does she wear your sunglasses at night?
Wow, really? What do you think about that, ladies and gentlemen? All right, moving on. We've got some really interesting news. We got some interesting news coming to us from the People's Republic of Illinois. Now, last week we talked about Gary the Enforcer up there in Cook County. And the enforcer, every time gangbangers go out and commit homicides, every time criminals go out and commit criminal acts, the first thing the enforcer says is, we need to restrict the rights of the citizen. We need more laws because we don't have enough laws. Because, we need more laws. If we only had more laws, then everything would be great. And you might say, if you have friends or relatives that are in the reasonable camp and they're like, well, if we just had a law against this and we just had a law against that, and if we just had more laws, say to them, okay, I'll walk down that path with you. Let's say we have 187 current gun laws on the books, and you say that's not enough. Would 200 be enough? Well, I don't know. Well, would 300 be enough? Give me a number. Give me a number that you think would be enough gun laws to stop crime, to prevent criminal human behavior. Give me the number. Should we make murder illegal times 3? I mean, it already says on the books, you're not allowed to kill people. You're not allowed to murder people, right? It also said you're not allowed to shoot guns at people and commit felonious assault. You're not allowed to rape them. You're not allowed to beat them down. You're not allowed to sell them crack cocaine and heroin. But it still keeps happening. But aren't the criminals aware of the laws? Don't they know that there are laws against those things? What's going on? Well, apparently the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree up there in the People's Republic of Illinois. So not only do you have little Rahm Emanuel and Gary the Enforcer getting out in front of microphones and demanding more restrictions and more laws and more this and more that because we don't have enough laws to control bad people. Well, we've got a governor up there, and the governor of Illinois, he's a little bit of an opportunist, as most Democrat politicians are. He's going to get out in front of the microphones, and he's decided that we need more laws. And you're like, what? Yep, we need more laws. Well, how many more laws do we need? Well, according to tell you what, I'm going to let Jared go ahead and cue up the governor of Illinois, and he can tell you in his own words what he thinks the plan is.
We're here with Congressman Robin Kelly and many people from the community to let the people of Illinois know that we're strong and we're going to support a very important law. It's called the Illinois Public Safety Act. It's designed to ban assault weapons in our state, put a limit on high-capacity ammunition magazines, and enhance background checks for those who want guns.
So there you have it. And this story comes from politics.suntimes.com. So we've got the opportunist governor, Governor Pat Quinn of Illinois, and he gets out in front of this group of sycophants, and he gets in front of a microphone, and he starts telling them that the recent tragedy, the recent outrage, the recent this, the recent that, well, what we need now is an Illinois Public Safety Act, and we need to ban assault weapons.
I think it should be Criminal Safety Act, the Illinois Criminal Safety Act.
Well, yeah, because it makes life easier for the criminals. And, when people want to disarm you, remember this, never forget this, students of the gun out there. And if you've heard it for the first time, perk up your ears. When someone tells you that you need to be disarmed in the interest of safety, ask them whose safety are they concerned with, because it's not yours. It's not your family. It's not your wife, your husband, your children. They're not concerned about their safety. They're concerned about the safety of the criminal and keeping the criminal safe from bad people just like you, bad armed citizens like you.
I have an idea. How about since it's Illinois and the whole issue was that they had a violent 4th of July weekend, how about they just don't celebrate the 4th of July in Illinois because they shouldn't be allowed to anyway?
Well, that's true. That is the People's Republic. They should be celebrating, May Day? That would make more sense.
Or Earth Day.
May 1st. They should be celebrating May Day. Maybe they could wait until October to celebrate up there in the People's Republic. So, we got the opportunist here. And what else is he at? It's so sophomoric for these guys. It's like they have this playbook, and they change the dates and they change the names, but all the rest of the plays are the same. So a criminal goes out and commits a murder, and the tool that he happened to use for the murder was a firearm. So we're not really concerned about pointing out the actions of the evil people, because what do we know? Well, it's hard to deal with actual criminals. Dealing with career criminals is tough. It requires a lot of effort. And you would actually have to hold people responsible for their behavior. And you're like, whoa, stop. That is the big deal. You say, well, why do Democrats, and you might be asking yourself, why do these progressive liberal Democrats, these statists, why do they always go after the inanimate objects? And it's really as simple as this, folks. You say, well, when it comes to crime, they shouldn't be afraid to point out and point fingers at the actual criminals, because what would that hurt? I mean, how does that hurt their cause to point at an actual criminal and say, you see that scumbag right there, that two-legged piece of walking vermin? You see that person? That is an evil piece of human debris right there. We need to lock that person up. And if they're a murderer, if they're a rapist, if they're a freaking felon, if they're a repeat offender, we need to lock them up and never see them again. And if their crimes are heinous enough, we need to put them in a chair, turn on the juice, and make them go away, because they're a leech on society. What would be the harm in that? Well, I'll tell you what the harm in that is. When you're a statist, you cannot force people or suggest that individual citizens be held accountable for their behavior, criminal behavior or any other kind of behavior, because what does that lead you down the road to? If you suggest that criminals need to be held accountable for their behavior and that it's not the inanimate object, it's the human, then what else are you saying? You might have to say that when people go out and engage in fornication, that it's their responsibility, not the state's responsibility. You might say that when people go out and become, drug addicted, that it's their responsibility, not the state's responsibility. You might say that, when people, skate through life, don't work, quit their jobs, work so poorly that they can't keep a job, that it's their responsibility because they can't keep a job. No. What do we know about the state? The state has to be there cradle to grave. They have to give you your money, your housing, your everything. Creating what? And what do they create up there, Jared? Tax slaves?
Yeah.
They create tax slaves. We have this. Illinois is a slave state. I know that all you guys up there like to look at Lincoln and say about emancipation and freedom. No, Illinois is a slave state. It's run by statists. And they don't want you to be independent. They don't want people to be responsible for their own behavior. It's the exact opposite. The solution to everything is more government, whether it's guns, whether it's poverty. The poor have been with us always and always will be. And creating more poverty and creating more tax slaves does not eliminate the poor. And that is exactly why you have statists like Pat Quinn, whose solution is we need to restrict. It's freaking Illinois, for Pete's sake. You have to get a permission slip from the government to buy ammunition. He wants more background checks on people who want to purchase guns, like that's some kind of a privilege. You notice how he says who want to purchase a gun. We need, hey, Pat. It's not a privilege that you can grant or deny. Well, apparently in Illinois it is, because when you have to get a permission slip from the government, if the government has to give you permission to buy a gun or to buy ammunition, you are a slave. Stop sending me emails. Oh, you don't understand. Out in the state, outside of Cook County, people are really, really conservative. Well, where is that conservative army taking back the state? Oh, it's not that easy, Paul. It's not that easy. Whatever. I'm tired of excuses. You are a slave state, and you're not going to stop being a slave state until all of these these millions of invisible conservatives get fed up and say enough is enough. We're not taking it anymore. No, Cook County does not decide what happens in the entire state of Illinois. You say that. You guys write me email messages and Facebook like, hey, I live in Southern Illinois and we're all conservative and we're da-da-da-da-da-da. And you don't understand. It's just Cook County. Well, dude, it doesn't matter. That's like saying, well, I don't know. I'm getting off the track here, Jared. You want to say something before we move on?
I was just going to say we should probably move on because we're going to run out of time here. We got a lot of stories to talk about.
All right,
this
go ahead.
episode.
And well, the reason we did these next two stories back to back because we had Pat Quinn up there in front of the microphones being an opportunist politician, piece of crap, and pimping for more gun control. And who did he say was standing right next to him? A representative, Robin Kelly. And Robin Kelly, she's got an idea for us, and we're going to lead her in with our slave state theme.
I like to teach you all the rules. close, I get to see them set in stone. I like it when you chain me to the bed, but then you see this name.
So here we've got freshman Congressman Robin Kelly, Democrat, Illinois. And so we're assuming that she's in a safe district. We're assuming that she's in a district that if you put a D behind the person's name, you could get a rabid dog elected as a congressman as long as there's a D behind their name. Well, she's got an idea. She's got an idea to keep your kids safe, and it's called the Children's Firearms Marketing Safety Act. And you're like, what? What in the world is that all about? Well, we can't allow these evil gun companies to market to children. We've actually got two sources for this. We've got the Inquisitor.com and then we've got the Blaze.com. But it says, according to the first line of the story from the Blaze, says a freshman Democrat is proposing a ban on the use of cartoon characters to sell guns and a ban on firearm-branded merchandise for children, such as hats, T-shirts, stuffed animals, and so forth. Robin Kelly, Democrat, Illinois, blah, 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 says reflects the growing feeling among the left that guns should not be marketed to kids. What do we have here, folks? You smart folks have already pegged it. We've got Joe Camel for kids. We have got Joe Camel. What they're trying to do is they're trying to Joe Camel the firearms industry. They're trying to convince you that with this legislation that guns and firearms-related activities are inherently bad and dangerous for children. Therefore, they should not be allowed to see them or be marketed to them. So it says that not only would it ban any kind of firearms or firearms-related sale of hats, T-shirts, bibs, and anything with an NRA logo on it, anything with a shooting sports logo on it. It would also ban the use of colored firearms, such as your pink cricket rifles and so forth. And not only that, but it says that if they decide that they're still going to, what does it say? They're going to sell a youth model rifle or pistol, or, well, not pistol, but or shotgun, that it's going to have to come with a warning label on it stating that it is an actual firearm.
I think our buddy Steve Lauer needs to get hooked up with these people. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Folks, this is insanity. And you say, oh, that's stupid, that'll never pass. Now, hang on. Before you just dismiss it out of hand and say, oh, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, that's never going to pass. What did we tell you? What have we warned you about? Why do Democrats, why do statists, why do they throw out these ridiculous bills that they know will never get past the floor, that they'll never get a House vote? Why do they throw it out there? Why do they bother? Because they're setting the argument. They're establishing the argument through this bill. What they're doing, it's just like, what do we tell you? Back in the 90s, when the U.S. federal government wanted to take over 1/7 of the U.S. economy through Hillary Care, and it failed, and everyone's like, oh, whew, we dodged a bullet there. We prevented the federal government from taking over 1/7 of the United States economy, of the private healthcare sector, and destroying it. Well, why did they do it then? They did it because they were setting up the argument that it was worth talking about. Maybe we're not going to do it right now, but it's worth a consideration. It's worth talking about. And a bill exactly like this is laying out the foundation that, well, maybe we're not going to get it done this session, but it's worth talking about. And what should scare the pants off of you guys is if you look down here in the story, you're like, okay, well, let's say they pass this bill and they decide that you're not allowed to market youth-size clothing, hats, bibs, T-shirts, anything with a firearms company or a firearms-related, such as the NRA or your favorite pro-gun organization. So what that means is if you want to buy, let's say you want to sponsor T-shirts for a camp like the Shooting Education Camp, and you want to give out T-shirts to kids, then you can't get Colt and Ruger and Smith & Wesson and so forth. Now, Jared, Smith & Wesson is a big supporter of the 4-H shooting sports, right?
Yes, they are.
And at the 4-H shooting education camp, they have banners that say, proud sponsor, Smith & Wesson and so forth. Do you suppose this bill, because there are children present, would prevent them from doing such a thing?
Yeah, I would assume so. So I have a question. So if you flop it to the other side, anti-gun legislature is also firearm related, correct?
Yeah.
So would that not ban the anti-gun movement from reaching children as well?
Oh, you mean like going into schools and teaching kids about how evil guns are and how bad guns are and how you need to turn in people that have guns and tell your pediatrician if your parents keep guns in the house, stuff like that? No, we exempt ourselves.
But that's firearm related.
No, we exempt ourselves from that. That's for the good of the people. That's for the children. Now, you say, all right, let's say that the cowards and weaklings up there in D.C., they capitulate because anytime you throw children or child into something, we have to vote for it regardless. Say, well, how do you enforce something like this? Well, according to the story, it says the ban on anything gun-related being marketed to children would be enforced by the Federal Trade Commission. And what have we seen here lately, folks? We've got the federal government who set up all these agencies, the EPA, the IRS, OSHA, you name it. And these agencies enforce the law or create the law based on their own internal memorandums. What they do is they create agencies like the Bureau of Land Management. And instead of saying, well, every time we have a situation that comes up that requires our attention, we will bring the bill before the floor, we will debate it, we will vote on it, and it will be very public. What they've done is they've just given these agencies a blank check to do whatever they want. Now, what did we just talk about? We just talked about one of the bureaucrats at the FTC tried to deny Advanced Armament Corporation, or AAC, they tried to deny them their logo trademark, right, Jared? Because why? Because silencers are inherently, what did she say? What did that chick say? She said that they were not questionable. She said controversial. Yeah, the use of silencers is controversial and is related and is strongly related towards crime use, which is bullcrap.
But the silencers, they protect the hearing of the children. So I don't understand what their problem is.
Well, what I think we should have is a Children's Hearing Safety Act and require people, or make it, I'm not going to say require, I'm going to say decriminalize silencers so that you can get them at every gun shop without all this special tax paperwork. Because let's face it, folks, it's a tax scheme. But getting back to this, with the FTC, what are we seeing here? We're seeing the federal government has found yet another agency that they can use to enforce their will. Well, we can't pass a law making the name Washington Redskins illegal because that would be stupid and a waste of our time. What we'll do is we'll just send out the thugs at the FTC. We're going to revoke their patent. And so what we'll do to these gun companies like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, you name it, if they try and market guns towards youth, well, what we'll do is we'll enforce it there. We'll pull their trademarks. We'll fine them. We'll punish them. Folks, I know you think this is stupid, and it is, but the reason it's out there is because that Robin Kelly has a D behind her name. She is in a safe district. She's not worried about any kind of repercussions from her constituents because, like I said, in a lot of these districts, you could take a desk lamp and put a D behind it, and it would get elected to Congress from Cook County. All right? So beware. Be very aware.
I was gonna say I love Lamp.
Do you love Lamp? Maybe you should vote for Lamp.
What do we got next on the list here?
Well, we've got yet another governor who has decided that their anti-gun agenda is more important than the safety of the children. Are we seeing a trend here? We've seen a little bit of a trend here.
So I think we should push forth. We should combat the using kids to pass their stuff through, and we should call stuff like this the Children Endangerment Act or something like that.
Yeah, here this story is from the Rolla Daily News. That's kind of a weird name. The Rolla, ROLLA, dailynews.com. And it's been all over the place, but Missouri governor vetoes teacher gun legislation. And you're like, this whole SEO world where they just throw words into the titles of stories for SEO ratings. Missouri governor vetoes teacher gun legislation. So if you read that, you're like, teacher gun? Like there was legislation out there that was going to provide state tax dollars to give guns to teachers or to teach people about, what are they talking about? No, it was a bill that was put forth, and it went through both houses, and it needed this dimwit's signature, right? And this is what he had to say. Can we get a quote from him? It says, "Arming teachers will not make our schools safer," said Missouri Governor Jay Nixon. And he continued to say, "I have supported and will continue to support the use of duly authorized law enforcement officers employed as school resource officers, and I cannot condone putting firearms in the hands of educators who should be focused on teaching our kids." Okay. Just to play devil's advocate there. Let's first of all, let's parse his words. Putting firearms in the hands of. So what does that tell you? Where is Jay Nixon's mentality? Where's his mind at? He thinks that it is the authority or the purview of the government, of the state, to decide who does and who does not have, quote, guns in their hands. He thinks it's his authority to decide whether or not you can have a gun in your hand or whether or not you cannot have a gun in your hand. Now, Jay, you hearing me, Jay? You out there? You listening? If the school is on fire, if the classroom catches on fire, there's a fire extinguisher, a big red fire extinguisher in the hall right outside of the class. Do you think that the teacher should run over there, grab it, and put out the fire before the fire department gets there? Or do you think they should focus on teaching the kids and leave that to the duly authorized state employees? Because, hey, that's what firemen are, right? They're duly authorized state employees. It's not the teacher's job to put out the fire. It's the teacher's job to teach kids. So just let the fire burn until the authorities, the duly authorized state employees, show up. And a lot of you out there, you're like, that's stupid, Paul. If there's a fire and the teacher can grab an implement, a tool, and put the fire out, or at very least minimize the fire, therefore keeping the kids safe while they're waiting for the professionals to show up, don't you think that would be a good idea? Well, I don't know. I'll play devil's advocate again because that's my job here. Let's say that little Jimmy is out on the playground, and little Jimmy, do they even still have playground equipment, Jared? Or are they taking it all away just because it's not safe?
They're probably putting like the bounce houses or something out there now.
Yeah, something so that the kids can't hurt themselves. But let's just say that it's an older school and they still have slides and swings and stuff. And let's say that little 5, 6, 7-year-old Jimmy or Susie, they fall off of the top of the slide and crack their head open on a rock or a piece of brick or something. And they're bleeding and there's blood pumping out of their head. Now, we know that the teacher is not a duly authorized state employee. They're not a duly authorized EMT. Should this teacher go over and apply direct pressure to the wound and start treating the wound? Or should the teacher run and grab a first aid kit and come back? Or should the teacher just wait until the duly authorized state personnel show up?
Well, I think that they should just leave it to the professionals because that's what everybody else seems to think is correct.
So don't help the kid. Don't minimize the injury. Don't stabilize the crisis. Just stand back and wait. And that's exactly what Jay Nixon is saying here. It's not your job. You should just, if there is let's say there's one school resource officer or even two, and you have a high school campus that has, let's say, 800 students, 1,000 students. And how big is, an average county high school probably covers about what, 1 or 2 acres? You got 2 floors, 1 or 2 acres, and so forth. Think about your local school, folks. You may have a school like I went to school. I went to school and there was maybe 400 or 500 kids. Not a very big school. But you had an upstairs and a downstairs, first floor, second floor. You had gymnasiums. You had shop classes. You had all that different stuff. And let's say the school resource officers, that his little headquarters, his little office, is right up front by the principal's office. And Johnny Nimrod comes in the back door with a gun because he knows he's a little psychopath, and his buddy opened the fire door for him by the gym. And he walks in, and he walks into a classroom, and he starts shooting. How many people can Johnny Nimrod shoot between the time the school resource officer is made aware of the situation and leaves his office in the front and runs, let's say, 100 yards to where Johnny Nimrod is? How many people can that kid shoot? Well, I don't know. How many? How many people can you shoot in 30 seconds? How many people can you shoot in 1 minute? Let's say the SRO gets there in 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is pretty fast. Are you going to station an SRO in every single classroom outside of every single door? No, you're not. What do you have in every classroom? A teacher. Are we talking about arming every single teacher? No, we're not. That'll never happen. But let's say you have little Johnny deranged scumbag, and he's decided that life is too hard, and my meds, he's on these weird meds that make him a homicidal maniac. And he's going to come into the school, and he's going to teach everyone a lesson. And he knows that the teachers are allowed to carry guns because of the state law, but he doesn't know which ones. He has no idea which teachers actually are armed and which teachers aren't. Kind of like that whole, concealed carry people are a benefit to all because criminals don't know who's got the gun and who doesn't. How everyone benefits from concealed carry because the criminals have to wonder who's got the gun and who doesn't. No, according to Jay Nixon up there in Missouri, teachers just need to teach. You don't need to act in a crisis. You don't need to help the children. You don't need to secure it. You should just leave that to the professionals. And how's that working in Illinois? How's it working in Chicago, Jared? Leave it to the professionals. Don't help yourself. Don't help anyone else.
Well, they just had the most violent 4th of July weekend, according to them. So I'm guessing that it's not really working that well.
Maybe they just need more. They need more laws.
Well, did you tell what else this bill was going to do?
No, go ahead.
Okay, there was a couple other things this bill did, and I think it was good all around. It says in addition, healthcare professionals could not be required to ask whether a patient has access to guns. Okay, why is that bad? Public housing authorities could not ban tenants from possessing firearms, and the minimum age required to get a concealed weapons permit would be lowered to 19 from 21.
So we had a lot of pro-gun legislation that went before the Democrat, the mealy-mouthed statist, Jay Nixon. And so Jay has an anti-gun agenda. Let's face facts here. If you're up in Missouri and you voted for this turd, shame on you. And if you want a free state, it's time to gut up and get rid of this guy. He has an anti-gun agenda. And what did we learn? What do we know? The anti-gun agenda is way more important than anything else. It's more important than the safety of your kids. It's more important than your freedom. It's more important than keeping statists from questioning and grilling your kids in the pediatrician's office about, do your mommy and daddy have guns? How about none of your business? Give them their little immunizations and check them for the, whatever. And it's not your business to find out whether or not I have guns in my house. That really is insulting to me. But folks, it's going on out there, and you need to know it, and you need to pay attention, and you need to hold these people accountable and not just be a squirrel with ADD and forget about it in 2 seconds. All right, Jared, do we need to wrap up?
Yeah, we're coming up on 45 minutes now. What Okay, regarding we've had a couple questions about this, and this just reminded me regarding moving the permit to age 19 from 21. What age should an adult be able to acquire a permit?
Well,
for concealed carry.
I think and they tried. See, the Supreme Court knocked them down. They were trying to make it 18 and older for everything. You know, what is this deal with you can buy a rifle and a shotgun but not a pistol? That's a bunch of crap. And they've been trying, and the Supreme Court's not going for it because it's a precedent. And they're like, well, that's just reasonable. Well, we've got a lot of inconsistency in our nation's laws. Well, part of it is because the federal government has gotten involved, and they've decided that they're going to legislate from D.C. what you can do out in your state with the 18-year-old thing. Because, your state is not allowed to do that. Your state's not allowed. And you should be questioning that, first of all, because it's the state's right, not the federal government's right to determine what happens, what drinking age, what seatbelt age, what helmet age, whatever is going on out in your state. But how can we say that on one hand, an 18 or a 19-year-old is an adult and can be held responsible as an adult? If you're 18 and commit murder, you're tried as an adult. You go to the chair like an adult. But if you want to buy a handgun, you're not an adult. You're an underage person. Well, it doesn't make any sense. We're either going to hold people responsible for their behavior or we're not. And it's a lot of inconsistency. And there's only one way we're going to change this. It's going to be you. Yeah, you, the one sitting out there listening to me, you and your friends and neighbors, starting from the ground up. Because if you expect it to change in D.C., if you expect the change to start in your state capital, you're going to be waiting a long time. It's not going to happen. But folks, we're going to put the cap on this part of Student of the Gun Radio this episode. We really appreciate you guys being with us. We appreciate you listening. Now, coming up in the next one, we're going to go ahead and contrast all this anti-gun nonsense, all this anti-gun agenda nonsense. We're going to contrast that with people that work for the government that happen to be pro-gun. What? And we're also going to talk about what happens when you encourage responsible citizens to arm themselves. That's coming up in the next segment of Student of the Gun Radio, so make sure you don't miss it. Now, we know you guys don't. We know you get every single one of them. And you should be watching Student of the Gun TV every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on Dish Network Channel 266. That's a Hunt channel. And Hunt TV, if you're a Roku guy, and I don't know if they have Apple yet. We need to determine that. But if you're a Roku person, if you've got Chromecast, you can watch Hunt TV now directly from your smart TV. If you are a fan of TV Gone Wild or Wilderness TV, you can watch Student of the Gun on either Roku, Apple TV, or Chromecast. Download the mobile app to your phone, your iPad, your tablet, what have you. And you can get everything Student of the Gun. And don't forget about Student of the Gun training and Student of the Gun University. We're going to talk about that a little bit in the next episode. But Jared and I have been really busy this week, busy like crazy people, setting up our new Student of the Gun University facility. We have a physical building where we are going to be, and you can come to see us down here in Free America, and we're going to talk more about that in the next hour. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. We know that you're going to be right back with us for part 2 of this week's episode. And remember, you are a beginner once. You're a student for life.